Think about the last toxic person who entered your life. Now think about the one before that, and the one before that. Different names, different faces, but somehow the same dynamic, the same arguments, the same feeling of being slowly drained. Researchers studying relational patterns found that people who attract one toxic individual are statistically far more likely to attract another. Not because they are weak, not because they are naive, but because something in them is broadcasting a signal, a very specific signal, and certain people are wired to receive it. The question is not why they keep finding you. The question is, what are you telling them? Welcome to the Mind Shadow. This channel exists for one reason: to hand you the psychological knowledge that most people will never seek out. Today's topic is uncomfortable. It requires you to turn the lens inward, not to punish yourself, but to understand a mechanism that has been running your relationships without your permission. There are 5 specific psychological reasons you keep attracting toxic people. Each one operates beneath conscious awareness. Each one has a name, a mechanism, a fix. By the end of this video, you will see your own patterns with complete clarity, and once you see them, you cannot unsee them. The first reason is what psychologists call the familiarity effect, and it is more powerful than most people can accept. Your brain does not seek happiness. It seeks what it recognizes. It seeks the emotional temperature of your earliest relationships. If chaos felt like love when you were young, chaos will feel like home when you are grown. This is not metaphor. It is neuroscience. The brain's reward system encodes early relational experiences as templates. Dopamine fires not just in response to pleasure, but in response to familiarity, even familiar pain. Harry Harlow's landmark studies in the 1950s demonstrated this with devastating clarity. Baby monkeys, given the choice between comfort and a distressing but familiar stimulus, repeatedly returned to distress. Humans are not different. You have met someone and felt that inexplicable pull, that feeling of already knowing them, that electric sense of connection. What you were actually feeling was recognition. Your nervous system saw the pattern and said, "I know this. I have been here before." And toxic people are extraordinarily good at mimicking that template in the early stages. They study you quickly. They mirror your language, your values, your wounds. They become the familiar thing. By the time the mask slips, the bond is already formed. Understanding this does not mean your past has defeated you. It means you finally know the name of the mechanism. The second reason is what is sometimes called the helper's wound, and it is one of the most exploited vulnerabilities in human psychology. Some people, particularly those who grew up in environments of emotional instability, developed an unconscious survival strategy. They learned that keeping others calm kept them safe. They learned that their value was tied to being needed, that love was something you earned through usefulness. They became fixers, helpers, the ones who stayed when everyone else left. On the surface, this looks like compassion. And it is. But it is compassion with a hidden architecture, one that makes toxic people irresistible targets to orbit. Narcissists, emotional manipulators, and chronically unstable individuals do not seek equals. They seek fuel. And a person who instinctively tries to fix, heal, and stabilize others is an unlimited source of it. The psychology here is precise. Research by Dr. Judith Herman on complex trauma shows that individuals who developed hypervigilance to others' emotional states in childhood become exceptionally attuned to distress signals in adults. You notice pain before others do. You respond to it faster. You feel compelled to address it. This is an extraordinary gift. It is also the reason toxic people find you before you find them. They are in distress, loudly, visibly, magnetically, and you are wired to respond. The loop closes before you ever realize you stepped inside it. The third reason brings us out of your psychology and into theirs. Because understanding how toxic people read you is not optional information. It is protection. Predatory personalities, and that word is earned, operate with an unconscious social radar that is genuinely sophisticated. They are scanning for specific signals before a single word is exchanged. Low eye contact that breaks first. A smile that appears too quickly in response to tension. The way you fill silence instead of letting it sit. The speed with which you apologize when no apology was needed. Each of these is a data point. Each tells them something. Low eye contact signals low self-regard. Reflexive smiling under pressure signals conflict avoidance. Filling silence tells them you are uncomfortable with uncertainty, which means they can weaponize uncertainty against you. Fast apologies tell them your default position is guilt. They do not consciously catalog these things. It is more instinctive than that. But the effect is the same. Within minutes of meeting someone, a skilled manipulator has already assessed whether you are a viable target. The fourth reason ties directly to this: unclear boundaries. Not the absence of rules about what you will and will not accept. Something deeper. A core ambiguity about whether you are allowed to want what you want. Many people who attract toxic relationships carry a quiet belief that their needs are too much, that asserting themselves risks abandonment, that the cost of conflict is too high to pay. This belief does not stay internal. It leaks. It shows in how you phrase requests as apologies, in how you shrink in disagreement, in how quickly you defer. Toxic people do not break your boundaries. They walk through the door you left open. Now here is the thing that reframes everything said so far. Remember the question from the beginning. What are you telling them? The answer is not weakness. The answer is not damage. The signal you are broadcasting is unresolved identity, and that is something entirely different. Every pattern described in this video, the familiarity pull, the helper's wound, the readable tells, the open door of ambiguity, they all trace back to one root, a self that has not yet been clearly defined on its own terms, not defined by what others need from you, not defined by your usefulness, not defined by avoiding pain. A toxic person cannot attach to a man who knows precisely who he is, who does not require their chaos to feel alive, who does not confuse intensity with intimacy, who can sit in silence without filling it, who can hear the word no without it meaning the end of something. The fifth reason you attract toxic people is the most important and the most hopeful. You have never been taught how to be someone who does not. That is not a character flaw. It is an education gap. And gaps can be closed. The patterns described here are not life sentences. They are programs. And programs can be rewritten. If this video showed you something you have not been able to name before, that is the beginning, not the end. The beginning of seeing the pattern clearly enough to interrupt it. If you found value here, subscribe to TheMindShadow. Every week, this channel goes deeper into the psychology of influence, behavior, and the hidden mechanics of the human mind. There is a lot more coming, and you are going to want to be here for it. Until then, I will see you in the shadows.